very much. Without further ado, because we have such a great collection of people, I don't want to hog the mic. I've already spoken a lot since the beginning of the day, and I will still speak quite a lot. So I'm just going to go through a quick round of introduction, then leave the floor to Achim for a presentation of the network, its mandate and its missions. I just want to say how glad I am for this panel to happen in this second edition of Pairs. The network in itself is not an outcome of the first Pairs, but it's very clear that we are part of the same momentum. The first participatory AI research symposium that happened on the side of the Paris AI Action Summit was soon followed by the setup of this network, and since then Pairs has become really an ongoing community of practice that engages with event organization but other activities as well. And it is great to see that this collective push is also finding an international echo at the UNESCO level, with the creation of this network and with the efforts of all of the people that make it what it is today, whether it is the UNESCO AI ethics team and all of the engaged academics and civil society organizations. So without further ado, a quick introduction to first Achim, who is a member of the UNESCO AI ethics team and who's really the steward of this UNESCO network and has been instrumental in helping us with all of the aspects and all of the activities that all of the subgroups are doing. In the room in India, we have with us Arpita Kanjilal, who heads the Research and Communications divisions at the Digital Empowerment Foundations, where she leads critical work at the intersection between digital rights, equity, and inclusive development in India. We have Caio Machado, Senior Associate at the Future Society, but also the co-founder of an important CSO in Brazil. At TFS, he focuses on the governance of artificial intelligence with expertise in algorithmic fairness, platform regulation, and scientific disinformation. We have also Cam Rincon, Senior Researcher at the Ada Lovelace Institute. Cam works really focuses on exploring the effectiveness of responsible AI and ethics, and also accountability practices. Jamila Venturini is also in the room. She is the co-executive director of Derechos Digitales, a Latin American-based non-profit organization which defends and promotes human rights in digital environments since 2005. She's joined with Paola Galvez, who is an international AI governance and tech policy expert and works on advancing human-centric digital governance as Globethics AI ethics manager. We have Shobhit, who is the lead research and policy engagement at IT for Change, whose work really focuses on political economy of digitalization, labor in the platform economy, data governance, and digital trade. And finally, in New Delhi, we also have Valentine Goddard, who is both a lawyer and an artist, and the founder and executive director of the AI Impact Alliance, a nonprofit organization that uses art-based approaches to explore the social impact of AI. And finally, online, joining us, we have Begona Otero, who is a senior research fellow at the Max Planck Institute and an active contributor of OdiseIA. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, which is Spain's observatory on the social and ethical impact of artificial intelligence. And finally, we have Carlo, who currently serves as Director of Impact at CMind and is a Yale Three Cairns Fellow in the Climate Urban Leadership Program. So welcome and thank you very much to you all. Just as a quick reminder, we have a beautiful coalition of people, so we're going to invite you to keep your answers short. And on that, Achim, if you're ready, I will leave you the mic.
Thank you very much, Pierre, and a very warm welcome to everyone, to all dear members of the audience, to all esteemed panelists. Thank you all for your time and interest in this event. And of course, also a very special thanks to the director of the JRS Academy for your kind introduction and for hosting this panel in your premises. And a big thanks, of course, to the whole PAIRS team for facilitating this whole event and also for hosting us here. A quick practical question. Can I share screens?
Yes, let me actually let me stop the screen share, and now
Okay.
you should be able to do it.
Can I try?
Go for it.
It says screen sharing has failed. Let me try to reset the whole process. Now it seems to work.
Wonderful.
Excellent. However, now I need a slightly bigger screen to see. I think that's it. All good. All good. Yeah, before proceeding with the panel discussion, I think we have 2 discussion blocks of 25 minutes structured around 2 questions per session. A very brief introduction of UNESCO's global CSO and Academic Network on AI, Ethics and Policy, which also serves as a co-organizer of this panel. Can you see these slides? Okay, that's great news. Now, the central aim of this network is really to strengthen the role and the position of civil society organizations and academic institutions from around the world in global AI governance processes. The network brings together organizations from all global regions and serves as a platform for sustained cooperation. A platform not only for cooperation between CSOs and academic institutions, but also with UNESCO and other stakeholders. And more specifically, the network aims to facilitate collaboration and knowledge exchange, to support the development of new projects, but also capacity building, with the aim to empower CSOs to effectively address the key challenges that AI brings to human societies, and probably will bring more so in the next year as the rollout of AI expands and permeates new sectors and domains of societies. So the network aligns really with UNESCO's core mission to promote intercultural dialogue and partnership to tackle global challenges and to support sustainable development and to build peaceful and inclusive societies. But the network also aligns with the 2021 recommendation on the ethics of AI, which is deeply committed to ensure the legitimacy of civil society around the world, and which affirms the recommendation also affirms the essential role of CSA of civil society organizations to shape fair, responsible, and sustainable AI futures. So at present, the network includes around 111 members from across the world, and we have here a brief map and an overview, and also a directory of all member organizations can be found on the network's website. I included a link here, and we can also share this later in the chat. The network is open to applications, especially from Global South context, because we're still expanding and trying to kind of increase equal representation. So if anyone in the audience is interested, you can apply via a registration form, which can be found on the network's website. I think what is important to mention is that the formation and also all of the activities of the networks have been grounded in a highly participatory process and approach. Now, each step in the development of the network and all of the activities have been built together with members and for members, and which has allowed members to and member organizations to actively shape the network's direction and its activities. Just to give a brief example, in July last year, when the network was launched, we conducted a survey among all members to identify key priorities and to guide the development of the network subgroups. And this has then led to the launch of 5 different subgroups. We have the leads of all subgroups in this panel today, and I'm sure we will hear much more about this. But it is worthwhile to mention that the work in the subgroups is really exclusively led by the member organizations to allow everyone to develop the interest and work program they would like to develop. And what is also important as a final point in terms of to explain the network's participatory approach is that the network is governed by a multi-stakeholder coordination group which comprises 50 network members and really serves as the central governance body. I'm coming to an end. As also mentioned, the network currently has 5 subgroups, and the work of these groups explores, on the one hand, the effects of AI on the environment and ecosystems, which is an extremely important topic. Another subgroup explores global risks of AI and the red lines that AI should not cross to protect societies from unacceptable harms. And the third group focuses on strategies to empower civil societal organizations in AI governance through the development of training and capacity building. A fourth group focuses on the use of AI in government and public sector context, which is also a very important topic. And the fifth subgroup explores the impact of AI on culture and cultural heritage and intellectual property rights as AI kind of continues to grab all forms of data, including indigenous and traditional knowledges, and raises important questions about protection. As mentioned, we have the lead of all subgroups in the panel, and I assume they may refer and explain to some of the work the subgroups conduct as the discussion unfolds. But I would briefly like to close with an acknowledgement of the funding, because the first phase of this network and also the current work program that is conducted in the subgroups has been benefited from the generous support of the Patrick McGovern Foundation. And we would like to sincerely thank the McGovern Foundation for its continued support to this meaningful work. The formation of the network has also benefited from a QR participatory grant that was provided by UKRI. Having said this, I would now like to hand over again to Pierre to chair the first panel discussion, and hope it will be a marvelous and exciting discussion with many enriching insights. Thank you all for your attention.
Absolutely, and just a fair notice for the people handling the Zoom, managing the Zoom room in New Delhi. I muted you because the mic seems to be a little bit sensitive while Achim was speaking, but you can now proceed to mute yourself because we would like to hear from the people in the room. So the first set of questions, and once again, let's try to keep this a very, very quick round of sharing in order for everybody to have the time to contribute, is really focused on the current participatory practices that each of you are already engaging with in AI-related work. What kind of stakeholders and public group are you engaging? And what are you doing with the insights that you're collecting? How does that shape your activities and the advocacy work? And I see that the room in New Delhi is still muted, so perhaps let's start with either Begona or Carlo. Begona, if you would like to unmute, let's have you kick things off.
Sure, I'm happy to break the ice here. So, well, first, thanks for the invitation. Thank everybody that it's also following and attending, the organizers. And I know it's been probably a long day for those who are now in Delhi. So trying to be also brief and precise. So from OdiseIA, that you pronounced really nice before, Pierre, we try to engage actually with every kind of stakeholder And for that, especially in the past, I will say year and a half, 2 years, we've been actively trying to either engage in some research projects like Digital Futures, in which we have over 60 researchers, from independent researchers, from so all members of the civil society, all members of OdiseIA, working on different aspects and lines related to the impact of AI for both the future work, so from a working labor perspective, but also in terms of vulnerabilities, but looking at vulnerabilities from a very broad perspective. Another thing that we launched last year, and we think as a way of engaging with participatory practices, has been a success. And next week we have the second edition. It's a hackathon. Last year we launched a hackathon that is called OdiseIA for Good. We had over 300 participants and 42 groups of people from different backgrounds working together for 3 days altogether in Madrid. And this year we have the same, but we have almost double the amount of participants, and we have people. We have so we have to double. We have an in-person option that it's taking place. The final it's taking place next week, but also a online version, because we have teams from all over the world, and this is fantastic. We have people from Australia, but from Brazil, Senegal, Nigeria, India, and the goal it's quite the same in the sense as last year. So we launch some questions that are related to how to find solutions, technical solutions based on AI systems to help particular vulnerability groups or particular questions related to vulnerability. So this kind of fostering innovation with a social impact. And that seems to be working quite well. So from last year, some of the teams that were awarded some of the prizes keep on running the projects, and some are very close even to market them, which we think it's also amazing in terms of how to let people, so how to allow for funding ideas, and not just business plans when it comes to engaging with all the other stakeholders. And I mean, we are doing other things also with universities, even with the Vatican in that sense. But I think, I'm happy to pass on to Carlo, because I also want to hear what the others are doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Begonia, for sharing. And well, I briefly introduce myself. My name is Carlo Angeles. As Pierre mentioned, I am Director of Impact at CMinds. And CMinds, it's a Mexican-based organization which has been working for the past 15 years on processes that integrate emerging technologies such as AI for social and environmental impact. So going directly to the question, in which way and what purposes the organization use participatory practices around AI, it is that we are currently focusing our work on AI for biodiversity innovation, and the participatory practices are central in how we design both innovation and AI governance for biodiversity, and basically all around what we do, which is public interest innovation. We are engaging. I would like to go one step backwards, and it is very important that the global frameworks around AI governance are exactly that. They are global. So it is very important that we take into consideration the perspectives of the local organizations, the local communities, which will be actually implementing these global frameworks, because otherwise there will be disconnections within what is being discussed and what is being implemented. And this is, well, I will jump into what this entails, but building into that, we are engaging three main stakeholder groups, which we believe are fundamental in this, which are local governance, which are indigenous people and local communities, and which are, of course, civil society and academic partners. We believe that, and this is what we do, that participation happens primarily through co-design and co-implementation processes. So local organizations, local communities do not only feel that they are guiding decision makings, but that they are co-building decision making, which is very important when we want to build ownership around the strategies that will outlive what we are doing at that moment. And this is fundamental in this because we believe that this is the way that we build sustainability when developing on-the-ground projects. This entails, for example, that local communities, local organizations co-define what AI systems should measure. For example, when we are doing our work with biodiversity, how data should be governed, which is super important, and it's something that needs to be properly discussed. And this is very interesting. What outcomes matter locally? Because something that happens a lot is that global projects tend to come with a predefined set of success indicators that might or might not actually be aligned with well-being indicators from the local community. So this is very important when we define global AI frameworks and what are the success outcomes. And finally, I just wanted to say that the insights that we gain from the participatory processes are, for example, that local communities can identify and redefine risk, what is risky for them and for us and for the global frameworks. This also improves policy design, fundamental when we are working with national strategies. And third, this increases legitimacy and implementation capacity, both in the short and the long term. So I believe that this is the strategy that we use that has proved to be very useful, and I'm very excited to contribute furthermore in the next discussions.
Yes, thank you very much. We're now moving in the room, and so I will probably let Tim, allocate the speaking in the room. Yeah, I see you pointing at someone. Speak from the lectern. So if you want to just sort of come up in turn and speak from the lectern who'd like to address the question.
I can. Better. It's not second. You can.
I think I've heard. If Paola, was it Paola who was speaking first?
Yes. Can you hear me well?
Yes, go ahead.
Good. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much to the organizers and to the host for having us in your university. So yes, I am Paola Galvez, AI Ethics Manager at Globethics, which is a Swiss foundation based in Geneva, but with a global presence, as we have 6 regional centers all over the world, but I will talk about them just in a bit. So to answer to your question briefly, in a nutshell, Pierre, participatory processes and practices are at the core of our approach to AI ethics, but not only as a methodological choice, because we conduct research and do publications, but in fact as an ethical commitment to pluralism and epistemical justice in global AI governance. As I was saying, Globethics has 6 regional centers. We are present in Latin America. Our regional center is in Buenos Aires. Here in India and operating for South Asia, we are located in Bangalore. In Africa, we have 2 regional centers operating because that's our biggest network in Nairobi and Ghana. And I am, last but not least, Southeast Asia in Indonesia. So what are the participatory practices that we do? And in fact, let me first say why we think it's important and how they help us. First, to help surface context-specific concerns and values of our network. Also as a mechanism for accountability, and as we create safe spaces with our network, which are normally comprised by civil society organizations, faith-based institutions, community-based organizations, youth organizations, and academic institutions. In Geneva, a bit more heavy representation of diplomats and policymakers, given the location. So we create safe spaces so that we can interrogate how artificial intelligence is impacting our rights, our work, and our societal social structures. Sorry. So this is one of the things we do. At the same time, as I was saying, participatory practices are also embedded in our research. One of the last work that we published, and I'm the author, is this policy brief that is called Pathways to Inclusion, Advancing Civil Society's Role in AI Governance, bringing evidence from and for the global majority. So thanks to this global network that we have for the past 20 years, building on the work of Globethics, I conducted, first of all, a survey all over the world in our network, which identified what for civil society organizations are the main barriers to participate in AI governance. And then what would they think will bridge the gap that they were feeling? After this interview, I organized regional focus groups because at Globethics we believe that it's very important to consider the nuances and cultural specific context. So we did this focus group, and then as well we had one-on-one interviews with some of the participants that were eager to contribute a bit more. So this is one example of how we do participatory processes. And last but not least, these participation sessions also help inform Globethics advocacy and capacity building strategies. I think there is in the second round, Pierre, but when this research identified that civil society thought that one of the main barriers was the lack of technical knowledge on AI, we immediately said, okay, so we need to start developing a course on that, right? And well, this is something that now we're working thanks to the UNESCO CSO network and in collaboration with so many CSOs that are present here. But I'm very proud to say that thanks to listening to very small organizations, because those are the CSOs and faith-based organizations that don't get invited, for instance, to these kind of summits. This morning we were at a session where Google, for instance, was saying, oh, but in fact we are an organization and we want to learn and iterate. If we fail, then we made a change that we need in the system. And then I replied to him like, well, let's not get the harm be there out, but let's best get the organizations before you design and deploy. Before you deploy, and in the design process, you consider our voices. And it's true, Google or Meta or OpenAI cannot meet with the thousands of organizations that we are, right? That's why these networks are important, so that we can start building from the bottom. Thank you, and sorry if I was too long in my participation.
Thank you very much, Paola. Yes, a quick reminder, we might go slightly overboard, but there is a poster session after, and some of the online audience might like to attend that as well. There are some very interesting posters that will be presented, so please keep your answers short. Yes, if the next CSO leader in the room would like to join the stand. Very much. I have never seen the people in person, so I cannot recognize you based on the video feed. So please just remind us of who you are.
Brilliant. Well, I am not Rincon. Those of you who know her will realise that I am not them. My name is Octavia Field-Reed, and I am the Associate Director of Public Participation at the Lovelace Institute, so I have stepped in today, and I'm very happy to be here and quite well equipped to talk about the things that we're talking about. So that's good. I'm from the Lovelace Institute. For those of you who don't know us, we are a civil society organisation based in London and Brussels. Our mission is to make data and AI work for people and society. So to move to the questions, how AD uses participatory practices. We're quite an unusual civil society organisation in the UK because we've invested very substantially in having a public participation team in-house. So we have lots of research capacity in-house to do this kind of work. We have specialists in quantitative and qualitative methods. We use a range of methods. We prioritize co-creation. We've done public deliberations. We use tailored methods using a different approach to, for example, deliberative workshops, using creative methods that really enable participants to speak in their own voices. So we've done research with younger people where participants have made zines, they've made small magazines, and we've used co-creation of videos as well, really to enable people to step forward with their own voices and to say the things that they want to say themselves. We've worked with many different people with underrepresented voices. So in 2021, we did the Citizens Biometric Council, working to think about facial recognition technologies in the UK. We had voice panels from LGBTQ+ people, people from minority, ethnic and disabled backgrounds. We've worked with people with lived experience of poverty, thinking about experiences of digital technology in healthcare. These are just some examples, but also people in the workplace. So some of our participatory work is done with people, for example, technical teams in AI labs, or social workers in local authority settings. So our understanding of public is broad. It's not only people who are affected, it's people who are affected in different parts of their lives, for example, in the workplace. And then to move to the second question, how the insights inform and shape advocacy. So we're an organisation that has participation really embedded in our organisational strategy. We have an objective to explore how people in society are being affected by AI and what AI in public interest could mean. And we interpret that as being very much about participation, very much about hearing people's voices. So thinking about how AI technologies could be adopted, could be used and deployed with public legitimacy. And legitimacy is really key to us as an organisation. So we're not ideological, we don't have a particular political bias. And really it's thinking about public comfort and public benefit that underpins our work. So just some examples of sort of really critical insights that have come through from our policy work. For example, we know that AI is really experienced by people in context, so the different uses of AI are very pertinent to people, and also that people's lived experiences really affects their perspectives. So those are things that have come through from all of our participatory work and really inform all the work that we're doing. And then just to end on the sort of critical question that we ask ourselves, I mentioned public interest. We are really always asking ourselves which publics and whose interests, and that sort of coming back to publics underpins everything that we do. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and over to the next speaker.
Okay, who wants to go next? And just a quick announcement. No, we will probably extend this panel by at least 10 minutes to make sure everybody has the time to talk, and we have the time to give rapid answers to the second set of questions. Go ahead.
Perfect time. Thank you. I'm Arpita. I head the Research and Communications Division at Digital Empowerment Foundation. Our office is very much here in Delhi. So to answer the question, when we say participation, our work from 24 years of engaging with the grassroots communities has shown us that when communities themselves lead the centers in rural India, enabling access to e-welfare, access to e-governance, services, literacy, capacity building, that has really created a lot of trust within communities because they are themselves embedded in their communities, right? So participation, I think, at design level starts when communities lead the digital design. They are at the heart of digital design. So DEF's work from last 24 years has actually now developed a community network of 2,400 centers across the country here, and it's quite a successful model where rural women take the lead in running these centers, one. Second is when we talk about AI, because AI, we need algorithms. For algorithms to thrive, we need data sets, and to collect data, we have to go to communities. Or is it going to communities? Or like, I know when we talk about data collection, it's always collecting data, where we don't, consider that like communities don't have the agency or autonomy to take a conscious decision of giving their data, because communities are and citizens are struggling to understand where is our data going, who is controlling it, where is it being housed, how long will it be housed, will it be used for commercial purposes or for social welfare, etc. So we do a lot of AI literacy and data literacy. Data literacy is extremely important. That also ensures meaningful participation in advocacy spaces. Then third, for example, what we do also is to understand the socio-environmental implications of the rising data centers on the communities who are living in the vicinity, and also what kind of load it has on the state infrastructure as well, because the data centers have a huge impact on the land, right? Land, water, power, and livelihood. The promise that 25 years back industrialization offered is the promise that the data centers have come back with saying that it will give jobs, but the communities who are living in the vicinity are affected by layers of digital and social divides. So there's no question of them getting jobs, except that if they are signing up for sanitation work or gardening, right? So we have to face those realities and have communities in consultation while we are also building digital infrastructures. So that's another work. So DEF constantly always tries to understand community-centric perspectives on AI and how can we ensure that participation and adoption are meaningful and community-centric. And answering the next question, we do a lot of storytelling through communities, like their narratives of digital exclusion, building bottom-up evidence, and that can actually inform policy making, and of course like CSOs basically. So like all the conversations that are taking place in AI ecosystem in Bharat Mandapam, they're all led by governments and the big tech. CSOs are there, we are slowly getting there, but I think we need to have more seat at the table where we can take communities closer to these discussions, and then communities come into the loop. So probably it's a step-by-step process. So yeah, I mean, so the systems that are governing us, we are unable to see, we are unable to contest, we are unable to design them or shape them or influence them. That is a huge crisis I think we as human civilization are grappling with. So I'll end here. Thank you.
Next up, I think Caio is walking to the stand.
Yeah, that's me. I can't see you guys in the cloud, but first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Caio Machado. I'm a senior associate at the Future Society. You probably are used to seeing Teresa, my colleague, but I'm in person today, so Teresa won't come from the cloud. I'll start with a bit broader definition of participation before addressing the public, one head, one voice form of participation. The way we see it is there's a constellation of actors that need to be heard, that need to shape policy, and being able to bridge these connections and allow decision-making to be permeated by other stakeholders is strategic for us. So to name a few actions we have taken, we run a yearly event called the Athens Roundtable on the Rule of Law, and we bring different stakeholders, including civil society, industry, governments from all over the world, CSOs from all over the world, to discuss AI policy together. We have, there are two more that I want to mention, but I'll try to be brief. We have ran campaigns that reached out to experts and to the broader society in strategic AI missions we want to advance. For example, on AI red lines, so behaviors and capabilities of AI that we believe that should be ruled out of the game, and this involved a lot of addressing the broader public. But most importantly, when thinking about broader consultation of the people, for the leading to the Paris AI Summit, we ran a consultation with both experts and broader society, so over 10,000 people participated and 200 experts participated to analyze and understand what are our priorities, and already merge a bit into the second question. So participation here, I am using it a bit ambiguously, both as a broad broad form of engagement, but also bringing and convening different stakeholders that could be in many forms, either excluded or not, or communicating past each other, and somehow funneling down to a key and strategic agenda. And from these consultations, for example, this Paris consultation, we were able not only to understand what we thought was the key agenda that should be discussed, as in what are policymakers interested in, what are the experts interested in, what is the general public concerned about, and what are their views on these, but also identify policy opportunities, right? What's the leverage point we can pull to advance one of our core missions? So thank you once again for this space. I'm very glad to be here and to be talking to you guys and learning from you guys.
Right, next, that must be Shobhit.
Yes, that's right.
Wonderful.
I'm Shobhit from IT for Change. We are a non-governmental organization based in Bangalore for the last 25 years. And I believe that our strength lies in approaching issues of digital governance as well as examination of the digital economy through a structural justice and a political economy lens. Accordingly, participation for us, we approach participation not simply as consultation, but as a method of redistributing power in digital governance as well as in the digital economy. Our participatory processes take the forms of, for example, grounded ethnographic research, worker inquiries which inform our work on, for instance, issues in the platform economy, coalition building across the Global South via the Global Digital Justice Forum, of which we serve as the Secretariat, as well as campaigns on local to global policy making. To answer the question of, what does participation do for us? I would say that it serves three core purposes. Firstly, it helps us sort of surface structural harms through rooted evidence. So issues of digital rentership, cross-border labor arbitrage, data extraction without return for public value. These are issues that we surface through evidence that is grounded in our work with communities. It also helps us build counter expertise. So the communities that we work with co-produce the evidence and the narratives that help us challenge dominant AI paradigms and dominant AI narratives around growth, around scale. And lastly, I would say that it helps us, of course, shape our advocacy and communications work. For instance, our work with workers and grassroots partners has pushed us to demand for universal labor guarantees in the digital economy and in digital value chains, to ask for democratic governance and public value creation in digital public infrastructures, and to analyze, for instance, how international economic law of trade, taxation, and intellectual property shapes how power is distributed in the digital economy. To conclude, participation for us, how we define it is, participation is the lens through which we look at issues of digital governance. And we believe that participation must translate into bargaining power within as well as outside institutional settings. Thank you.
And Jamila signaled to me that she will pass on the first question to focus on the second. Valentine, if she's in the room. And then we'll move to the second set of questions.
Pierre, if you want, you can turn off the discussion session question. It's a big white screen and it's blinding us. And we'd much prefer to see your sympathetic faces.
Thank you very much. Achim is the one who has the hands on the slides. There we go.
Achim, we prefer to see you. Oh, now I see me. No, that's not good. Okay, my name is Valentine Goddard. I'm the founder and executive director of AI Impact Alliance, a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2017. Smile for the camera, being silly, sorry. Okay, so in 2017, I'm just going to go through a very little bit of history. There was tons of funding in AI, no funding for nonprofit organizations, civil society organizations. It was pretty clear to me that there was not going to be much AI for good if we left industry lead the development of AI and the governance of AI. So I founded the nonprofit organization on a membership-based model to increase the voices of civil society organizations. So I'm very, very happy to be part of this UNESCO network empowering civil society organizations, and I can thank the Patrick McGovern and the team at UNESCO for organizing this. AI Impact Alliance, when it was founded, the other thing that it was supposed to be doing is, apart from studying the ethical, social, cultural, political implications of AI, was centering that study having art-based methods in engagement and in policy innovation, because art is a good tool to help citizens understand the different implications of AI and engaging them into making policy discussions. I founded AI and a Social Mission, which was a conference that was ran for 5 years, where there were more than 50% participation of women, 35% of social entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and in that conference, we would have discussions that would help people understand what policy is in the first place, and then make policy choices. How do you want to use AI, and then move forward with that. In 2019, I founded the Art Impact AI workshops based on the same model, going across Canada, meeting with hundreds of artists, asking AI will impact you and your community. How do you want to impact AI? And that led to policy recommendations at the UN level, underscoring the role of art in AI and digital governance. And then that led to the art laws. No, wait, sorry. There was a little bit of a thing in 2023 when Google DeepMind approached me as an artist to do an art and AI residency and pay me $5,000 out of a $100,000 budget. And the deliverable with this Google DeepMind working with a publicly funded AI research institute. And under the cover in Art and AI residency, the goal was to lead to policy recommendations, cultural policy recommendations for the Government of Canada. That's regulatory capture. I launched a petition. It was signed by 2,000 people. That led to the art laws programs that was funded by the Canada Art Council, which with the goal was to create a resource cluster on art, AI, and legal and economic implications. So that brings us to today and the launch that will be happening. You can go to the website, allianceimpact.org. It's very rough draft. It's on screen. The button to click to apply will be coming imminently. I can't say that one in English. Imminent, so very, very soon. And that is a call that we're doing with under the IP and Culture Group with UNESCO to create a repository, to create an online resource cluster to have those discussions led once again by artists. The Art Laws programs was giving grants to artists so that they can study and understand the legal implications and they make policy recommendations. So that's the process and the public all wrapped up in a little bit of history. Thank you so much.
Okay, Achim, take it over, and I think Jamila will have the first round of contribution. And if I forgot someone, just shout from the room, but normally everybody has had their turn. Looks okay, go for it, Achim.
Just managing the technique. Yeah, thank you all for these, for sharing these wonderful insights to learn more about participatory practices in your organizations and the value these practices can produce and generate. That's really amazing. Can I just ask for clarification? How much time do we now have for the second session?
Let's take 15 minutes as well.
15 minutes from now, that would be until 23.
Yes.
I'm just a local time. Okay, perfect.
I know, yeah.
So this, unfortunately, it reduces the speaking time maybe to something like 2 minutes per speaker. And I would say Jamila can have a little bit more because you kind of didn't speak in the first session. So if you want to start, please take the chair. No, sorry. I also wanted to quickly share the questions. That seems important. I'm aware this kind of blinds you, but just leave it for 1 minute. So the questions are, from your experience, what are the main challenges to ensuring the meaningful participation of civil society and of affected communities in AI governance? That's question one. And question two is, which strategies or solutions could help address the identified barriers and support more meaningful, scalable CSO engagement in AI governance and innovation? I assume you have these questions somewhere, so that's why I stopped sharing.
Thank you so much, Achim, and thank you, Pierre, also for the opportunity of being here. It's really amazing to be in person with the colleagues that we have been working for so long with the network, and also to connect with you that couldn't be here in person today. Yes, I decided I would best contribute to this second part of the conversation, because a great part of what we do at Derechos Digitales is try to contribute to shaping participatory processes in digital governance discussions. So I will focus a bit on CSO participation, because I guess we have heard today that other actors are already participating in decision making, often not so transparently. So I guess part of the challenge is to make our organizations be able to participate meaningfully in these discussions. So I guess I would bring two layers of challenges, and I guess those replicate within national and global environments. One, it is about how do we increase participation to reach communities and groups that are most affected by AI, and Derechos Digitales research in Latin America evidences that AI deployment by public sector targets particularly vulnerable and historically marginalized communities that are often not able to agree or to consent to these types of intervention, and are often not even aware that these types of interventions are happening, using their data, using their information, and having impact on their lives and their rights. So I believe this is one key aspect of the challenges we have ahead. Then I guess the other aspect is how do we move beyond representation and often tokenistic representation to really meaningful participation. We have very complex problems ahead, and they require equally complex responses. And I believe having active and diverse civil society participation in these AI governance processes can allow us to co-design and to collaborate into reaching better responses. And we also have to acknowledge that we are in a context of fragmentation of AI governance processes within the national level and also at the global level, and that we have several power dynamics that affect how certain groups can engage meaningfully in these discussions, and this asks for intentionality to address these particular challenges. Going a bit to the learnings and how we move forward from these challenges, I believe we are lucky to not be building participation processes from scratch. We have at least 20 years of experience within internet governance processes. Internet itself was a driver for broader participation since the 90s, since the 80s, with great role of civil society being able to bridge the gaps on that type of participation. We also have the São Paulo guidelines, the Net Mundial Plus 10 declaration, which give us specific procedures and a way ahead in how to implement that. And I would like to highlight two aspects that I think are particularly relevant to move ahead. One has to do with the fact that design matters. Online consultations are not enough anymore, and we have more and more research showing that participation is not meaningful, is not addressed properly within these spaces. And also I have seen a trend of building expert networks and expert groups for consultations, but I believe, and we at Derechos Digitales defend, these are not enough, and we need to complement at least these with more open spaces for broader participation and allow for different communities and different groups to join the conversation, not only selected experts from certain institutions. To conclude,
I guess it's very important to remind us that public participation within decision making, and particularly in processes that affect our lives and our rights, is a human right. It's not a favor either by governments or by companies, and we can mention the UNESCO recommendations that also reinforce the need for participation through the full AI life cycle, and that's also part of what we are defending. And we are living in pretty challenging times. I guess we can all agree on that, and we cannot afford more fragmentation in an already fragmented environment. So I really welcome the fact that we are trying to build alternatives within this network and beyond this network, and hope we can continue to find and to learn from everything that we have been developing already within our organizations and beyond our organizations to reach better answers ahead. That would be.
Thank you a lot, Jamila. Maybe we can continue with the two online participants, Begona and Carlo, and if possible, in terms of timekeeping, maybe please try to keep it to 1.5 minutes, which is awfully precise, I'm aware. Begona.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I mean the hoster wasn't allowing but now it's fixed. So very quickly. I mean, I'm going to be very short because I actually agree. I will say in full with what Jamila just said. And I think also it's not really a matter. I mean, it is when you go to the ground. Probably in the country where you're operating, that has a lot of impact, and things are not the same. And also on my experience, that's something that one can tell. But from the CSO perspective, I think one of the biggest lessons that we have learned also from this hackathon is that if we want better strategies, if we want to increase participation and make it meaningful, not only for us as civil society organizations, but also for the affected communities, when we're looking or thinking on AI governance, I think we need to keep pushing that the system starts funding more ideas and not just companies. And I think from an innovation point of view, that's really important. There are a couple of international reports, one coming last year from Bocconi University, also co-signed by the German IFO. And I think the way that we push innovation, and that also connects very well with what Carlo said earlier, and it's what I think he referred to as AI localism. So at the end of the day, and also probably because my background is as a lawyer, and now I'm going to talk, I am member of the CSO, but not just talking through the CSO, but also in my personal experience as I wear many other hats. I'm a researcher, I'm a lawyer by training, I also study economics, but one thing that I think we can all agree on is that paper holds absolutely anything on it. So it doesn't matter whatever you put on paper, it will stand, it will hold. How you implement that, how you operationalize that, how you make participation, as I said before, to be meaningful, to actually bring output or results in a way that you get feedback that you can trust, it's a different story. And I think that working with improving participatory models, but also bringing things down to earth and to the global, to the local communities and to the groups. So it's not sometimes a matter of looking, in a very macro perspective, but also trying to bring things down to the ground and down to the people and listen more instead of sometimes just trying to run on certain interests. As well as, on the other hand, this macro perspective is important because it's what we see here, fostering this international collaboration, fostering this dialogue where we can see a lot of commonalities, doesn't matter where we come from. I think it's important to keep on building. And I'm just going to stop here and let Carlo continue.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing these insights.
Thank you so much, Begonia and Achim. I completely agree with what has just been shared. I would just like to add maybe the layer of the challenges, specifically that we have seen firsthand working with especially local communities and local organizations that might be, well, specifically the challenges on this meaningful participation. I would say that the first thing is technical abstraction. The AI global conversations often excludes local communities, specifically from the standpoint of language barriers, for example, and or concepts that are highly specialized that need to have a previous knowledge background on the specific subject matter, which it's a challenging entry point, which we have been working with, but definitely this still becomes a major barrier, especially language, because most of the AI governance global conversations and frameworks are, for example, in English, which might not be the language of choice of local communities. Second, the resource asymmetry. Civil society is, for example, underfunded in comparison with the massive amount of resources that are flowing into AI development, which is very capital intensive. So we need to rethink about ways in how can we tackle this resource asymmetry. And this leads us to the final challenge, which is, I think, a result of the previous two, which is the institutional lag. AI deployment cycles are moving super quick because of the massive resource flows that are coming for this development. But governance, on the other hand, it's moving slower and it's moving more reactive than the AI deployment cycle. So these might be three challenges that stand out from our point of view and that need to be addressed. And the solutions in which we can address these barriers are that, for example, what UNESCO is doing now, which is how do we build these translation institutions in which civil society organizations, academic networks, public interest organizations connect technical AI governance with social realities from different levels of perspective, approaches, and deployment from local organizations, national organizations, regional organizations. And I believe that this is the way in which we can align and shape decision, incentives, and accountability structures in both the short and long term.
Thank you very much, Carlo, for sharing these ideas. Let's go back into the room and maybe ask Tim and Pierre, how much time do we still have some time left? And if yes, how much time? I know we had some questions scheduled at the end, which we probably can, we simply skip these, or we could invite everyone to share questions through the chat and also to whom they would like to direct these questions, and then we can forward the questions and they can be answered after it. It's just an idea. What do you think?
For sure, I think that the Q&A will need to be scrapped there. Let's try to close the panel by 2:30 Central European time. So in something like 7 minutes, because we don't want to split the online audience too much regarding the poster session.
Makes sense. Thank you a lot. That's 7 minutes more. Then back into the room. Please take internal decisions about who wants to speak and how to use this time in the best way.
1 minute each, right?
59, 58.
I have a stopwatch. Okay, so we're going to do 1 minute each. Challenges. I wanted to talk about the challenges of getting decision makers to listen to public voice. So we find there are really three challenges. One is about entrenched decision-making conventions. So people find it much easier to listen to the quant results than they do to the qual stuffs. The big numbers are reassuring. The qual is difficult. It's small numbers of people. resource is a really big issue. You know, participation is intensive, it's costly. Of course, it's worth it, but for policymakers, that can be a barrier. And lastly, these sort of structural incentives. So for policy and industry to listen to public voice early in the process, the incentives to do that are low. The incentives at the end of the process are much higher because that's where the risks are for them, and then that's where the loss of trust might come. So that are my answers to those. And then just in terms of strategies and solutions, you know, if I was thinking at that sort of global level and thinking about the capacity building, I would be thinking about the need to build participatory practice into decision-making processes at the right time, and also into new institutions as they involve. Thank you. That's 1 minute and 9.
Okay, I also have my timer. Go. So I was talking about art-based approaches to understanding, so engaging citizens and understanding different policy and implications of AI. I think there's one of the challenges in those approaches is lobbying from big tech industry. There's, as I mentioned, the example that I gave earlier, regulatory capture efforts are extremely creative and intensive. One of the challenges is strong movement across a ton of important conferences, IEEE, ACM, NeurIPS, and so on, to redefine what art is. When we redefine what art is, that is going to have legal and economic implications for a sector that is fundamental to democracy. And there are solutions to that, and the research that I'm doing is putting forward promising practices, curatorial practices, to prevent that. 0 seconds. Thanks.
Wow.
So funding, yes, because scalability, because it's a huge last mile reach that we have to reach out to, and it's very diverse. So AI innovations are largely supply driven, not demand driven. That's a concern. Nature of data collection is extractive. CSOs are not enough at design level. AI literacy, as we see in schools or institutions now introduced, are only user cases. They're not really introducing digital society as a pedagogical intervention. I think that is very much required. And lack of enough platform accountability, where onus is always getting shifted to citizens and not on platforms. So these are largely the things, and the solutions lies in the problems. So I'm not going to repeat that. Thank you.
I'll use my 1 minute and an example I hadn't mentioned before, which is for the EU Code of Practice that the Future Society coalesced with several organizations to push the regulator to make an open consultation. So I'll bring that example first. We need also accountability to pressure authorities to use these legal provisions of hearing the broader society. And with that, I'll add that, in echoing what Carlo said and what other colleagues said, there is a necessary translation effort. So complex issues, I'm sure AI pertains, is of the interest of many other organizations and people, and they do have something to say. But before we go around with the microphone, we need to have a leveling effort. And sometimes that isn't at the moment of survey. This has to be taken into account. So I'll end at 52 seconds, donating my time. Generous, 8 seconds.
Thank you. So yeah, going right to the challenges, I think the first one is something that we've all touched upon, that AI governance debates are largely dominated by big tech and other transnational corporations, global north states, and technical experts. On a related note, there is a consequent technicalization of governance, where governance is framed in terms of risk metrics and safety metrics, which sidelines political economy questions, contextual insights that are not adequately integrated. The solutions to that, responses, I would say, is that we sort of reframe participation to move from consultation to co-creation. We institutionalize more CSO seats in policy bodies and multilateral institutions. We provide for budgeted participation and not just voluntary labor from CSOs. And secondly, we look for transnational civil society alignment, which would include South-South coordination specifically, linking movements across labor, feminist, environmental and trade justice groups, and lastly, evolving shared positions in WTO, G20 and UN-led processes. Thank you.
I also have my timer.
All right.
So lastly, I would say, let's not think that only CSOs organizations that are working in tech for the past years are the ones that should be in the table. Because I agree with everyone that has said, but I think this point was missed. So we've been working for so long that we actually need the voices of the ones that are working in gender, in arts, in environment, because AI is really impacting all sectors and we really need their voices. So, and that's why, for instance, that this is, I hope, the perfect segue, Achim, to mention that in our empowering civil society and in citizens in AI governance subgroup, we are about to launch a capacity building course, which is intended to CSOs in general that would like to strengthen their capacities to participate more meaningfully in AI governance processes. It's going to be a pilot course, so it's a small cohort. If any of you that are joining online, please, and are interested, if you're interested, just send us a message to CSO Network or to Galvez at globethics.net, and please, we will be happy to have you in the course. Thank you.
I took your 8 seconds.
That was the 8 seconds I donated for a good cause.
It is absolutely unbelievable that we actually finished on time. And thank you everyone for accommodating this high pressure.
Yeah, we should have started with that, considering how well you did. Thank you very much.